For linguistic or discourse analysis, we talked about in our earlier modules. We start with talk in the local context, that is the individual context, private context. We are talking in office, we are talking in campus, we are talking in our workplace. Then we relate the language features of local talk, local situation with the pre-existing norms of society. That is macro context. So we first talk at private level in our own context, local context, and the features of our talk then are compared with independently existing norms of society. Okay, from this comparison, we will know whether there is some gender issue or not. We know that conversation analysis, we had talked about this method of discourse analysis in earlier modules, in previous modules. You are familiar with it. I won't repeat this whole process. This is a process in which we take scripts of the conversation and then we analyze those scripts. Okay, we know that CA researchers, conversation analysis researchers, take both levels as independent. Okay, we have said that we relate micro context with macro context to judge, to assess whether there is some gender problem or not, or whether this talk is relevant with gender issue or not. But see what CA people do. They say that there is no relationship between micro and macro context. Gender is performed, but on the other side, our point of view is that gender is performed not only in private talks. Recall modules on hybrid identity that we have discussed. So it is not a matter of private talk. Gender is also performed in institutional context, in macro context. So how can we separate them from each other? And institutional context, you know, they are ultimately related with societal context. So there is a linkage between micro context, institutional context, and societal context. But one point of view is that they are separate, the other point says that they are linked. For example, a man and a woman sit in a coffee shop. They talk about intermarriage problem in Pakistan. Intermarriage, marriage between two different people of two different cultures or two different languages or two different countries. We will take it an ordinary talk. We won't take it a gender talk relating with some gender. We take it a common talk, casual talk, unless macro level discourses, institutional discourses indicate it a problem. So if we want to know that there is some problem with intermarriages, we have to see what society says about it, what social institutions say about it. So then we can decide whether it is a common talk or a gender talk. If two class fellows talk about harassment in campus, so it will be taken as their personal opinion, personal talk. To establish its relevance to gender, we will see this talk in the macro context, first of the campus itself, then media, parliament, feminism, local and western forms of feminism, the social institutions and societal structures. So then we will relate this talk with them, and if this comparison shows that intermarriage is problem or harassment here in this example is a problem in campus, so then we will take it in that perspective. Otherwise we will say this is a friendship talk. So we conclude that we perform gender in local as well as institutional context, larger context. Informal talks that we do in micro context, they are assessed, they are seen as having some gender relevance by relating them with institutional context in light of the limits set by the larger context. Okay, why we relate them with larger context? Because larger context control our private talk. They put certain limits on our talk.